Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining me for part 2 of our canvas journal cover. So, we need to try to figure out how to assemble this. And so, I have pulled some paper that I believe will go nicely with this. I couldn't believe the color scheme and how well it matched. This is Stampin' Up! Paper. Unfortunately, it is no longer available. But the other thing is I have this left over from the dress, and so I'm going to use that. So let's get started in trying to figure this out. So first off, I'm going to hinge my tie-back to my spine and my back cover. And remember, these are the exact same as my canvas frame. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my Beacon's 3-in-1 glue and hinge this. So I hope everyone is doing well. I thought I would do a little bit of a voiceover here. I watch another YouTuber who lives in Austria, and she recently asked her subscribers to ask her any question at all about her crafting, about her personal life, favorite things, whatever. And so I have really been enjoying learning about this other YouTuber, and more than just her crafting specialty. So I'm going to invite each of you, my subscribers, to ask me any question whatsoever, with the exception of I'm not going to give you my mother's maiden name or my social security number or anything like that, but ask me any question at all and I would be happy to answer them. And I always bring in a ruler to make sure that the edges are even. And you want to leave a little bit of a gap so that your journal can open up. And then I usually just bring in my bone folder to make sure that that crease is good. And the other thing I like to do is hinge the inside cover also. So we'll just put a little bit of the Beacon's 3-in-1 glue here. Since this is going to be the back of my journal, I'm going to go ahead and cover this. So again, this is going to flip that way. So I need to make sure that this is this way. right, because that's going to be the back. So I'm going to glue this down and miter these corners like you've seen me do before, and then we'll continue. So I just wanted to show you real quick something that I did. So if you glue this down here like this without cutting it, it will bunch up. But when I cut it, let me just show you, and you just cut ever so slightly, just a little bit of a angle, and then pull it out. It will fold nicer, but then what you have is this little white spot in there, which I don't like the way that looks, even though you probably wouldn't be able to see it very much. But what I did to solve that is one of the mitered corners from here, I'm just going to glue that down there, and then it will just kind of blend in. So just add a little bit of glue there. And lay it in there. And then use your bone folder to crease it in. And so then when you fold that down and glue it, this is going to look a lot neater. Now we're going to be laying paper or fabric over this, so that's going to also be hidden. But I just wanted to show you that little tip, and then I'm also going to just continue gluing these sides down. Okay, all of this is glued down, and so what I want to do is hinge the book like this so that when you have it sitting, can you see that? Like that? That is flush. So it actually is going to make a bigger spine than I thought. But that's okay. That just means more pages in there. So I'm not going to hinge anything along here. I'm sorry for the finagling. I'm not going to hinge anything here other than maybe a little bit of lace. So I need to know that if my book is just like this, flip it over, and these two areas need to be hinged together with a little bit of a space between them. So to make sure it's flat, now I'm going to flip this over again, and it's going to have to go flat with that. What I've decided to do is hinge it first with just paper. And so I want to form my crease. So what I'm going to do is bring in my scoreboard and just do a crease down the middle so that it folds nicely. And then, like I said, I'm going to strengthen this with the Tyvek. Okay. So let me just double check to make sure that that is what I want. Except for I folded it the wrong way. It's going to need to go this way. Wait a minute here. Let me think. No, this is correct. It's going to go that way. So that was correct. So let's just fold it in half well, it's not really half, but fold it to give it that crease, okay? And then I'm going to glue this down here. And we are going to be covering here and here. So it doesn't matter that this is a different color, but again, it's the same shade of purple. I think that's called Highland Heather. So let's just see. You know, this is the first time I've done this, so I hope it works. So I'm going to glue this down, and I'm just going to put glue along here. And like I said, we are going to be strengthening this with some Tyvek. So I'm just laying that there. And I'm giving myself just, I know you can't see, but I'm giving myself just a nice little area in the center so that when this folds, it's got enough room. I think that's going to work out nicely. I like that. Okay. And then I will just use a craft knife to cut this off. Okay, so then now let's glue this to this. I'm going to pull that up. And again, I've got my crease, so I don't want it completely. We're just going to go here like this. I don't want it to go completely to that fold line because I want to make sure I have plenty of room. And let me just lay this here. Bring it in. Okay, and then again, use my ruler to make sure that it's even on both sides. I think that's going to work. I think that's going to work nicely. And I'm going to press down just to make sure that paper gets in there good before I lift it up. And now I'm going to lift it up and fold that over and press that down so I make sure that it adheres to my canvas frame. I think that's going to work. I think that's going to work. I'm excited. Yippee! Okay. Ah, yes, it's going to work. It's going to work. Very nice. Yippee! Okay, I'm going to let this dry for ever so slightly, and then we'll continue. So I'm very pleased with this because when it is folded over, the same color of paper is in the hinge area. But what I need to do now is strengthen this cardstock here. And so I'm just going to take some Tyvek and glue it over the top. Now again, we're going to be putting pattern paper over this, so it doesn't matter that you see so much white here. So I'm just going to glue this down. Okay, now that we have a lot of the front and back cover done, let's do the inside. And like I said, I was going to cover the inside pages with paper. And I've decided on this paper. And then the other thing I always like to do is a hidden spine where I sew my signatures on like a piece of cardboard and then glue it into the book. And then that way, if I make a mistake in sewing in the signatures, I haven't ruined the whole book. And so this is the paper I'm going to use on the inside cover. However, it's got a lot of white, and I don't like that, or I want to tone it down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is bring in my splatter box, and I'm going to do some splatters in the same colors that we used on the journal itself. Now let's see if I can get this in here so that I can do it all at once. No, well, I don't know. I may not be able to. I'm just going to do these two pieces first. And so I'm going to start out with the same green we used, and I'm also going to use some rich espresso and see what that looks like. And over here to the side is I've got my little palette. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of paint. And then water it down. These are metallic paints. And I've got my fan brush here. I'm going to stir them up and then just splatter it on my paper here and just kind of take a little bit of that white off. I'm going to put this palette over to the side here. Oh yeah, all right. Already I'm liking that. It's toning down that white a little bit. Okay, this is that rich espresso. And again, it's a metallic paint. We're going to let that dry, and we'll see if we need to add another color. So I do like my splatters. I also added a little bit of this purple pearl in some splatters. And then what I did is I took this very Versailles stamp set from Stampin' Up. I'm telling you, you guys, all you journal makers, if you don't have this stamp set, you are missing out. It is by far my all-time favorite stamp. I use it almost in every journal. This image, the script, it is fantastic. If you'd like to get it, you can order it through me. In the description box is my 24/7 online store. You just click on the link and it will go to it, and just type in Very Versailles and you can order this stamp set. It is just fantastic. So I stamped that on the back of the paper. Now I've decided before I glue this piece down, I better have some type of a closure. Let me pull this over here. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and glue this. It is hand-dyed sari yarn. For $8, this is all you get, which is a ton. And this is like a multicolor. The color is 05. And look at it, it's got purples and greens and kind of pinkish colors. This stuff is fantastic. So I'm going to just cut a pretty good length and glue it down. I've marked here where my center is. And probably, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm going to just run a bead of glue along here. Let me pull this up and out of the way. So I make sure, do you see where that crease is? That's where it's got to go. Yeah. And glue this down, and then I'm going to glue the paper over it. It might be a little bumpy, but I'll probably be putting a pocket in there anyway, so it doesn't matter. So here I'm just laying down my closure to the inside of the front cover, and then I'm adhering that beautiful paper down over it and spreading out the glue using my bone folder just to make sure it adheres very well. Then I measure on the back cover, the center line again, laying my closure down, and then that beautiful colored paper to the back. And so that will be the inside, front, and back pages of the journal. So what I've done is I have covered a piece of the thinner chipboard with a coordinating paper. And like I said, I go ahead and sew my signatures into this. And then that way, if I mess up sewing them, then I've only messed this up and I can replace it. And so this will go here once my signatures are ready, and I will glue that in there. And I think it's okay since I've done so much other decoration over here with the splatters, but I haven't here. But what happens is after you sew this into your journal, you almost can't even see this background because your signatures cover it so much. And I do like that little bit of white there. I think that's okay. So anyway, that is the completion of this journal cover. And I can't wait to put in the signatures. And like always, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And we will see you in the next video, which will be next Monday. Thanks, everyone. Bye.